So today we're having a look at the YC Onion Energy Tube Pro, and we're gonna have a look at and try to determine what actually makes this light pro. And full disclosure, YC Onion did send this light out for the purpose of this review, but all the opinions are my own and they had no say in the making of this video. And the first thing I noticed about this product was how nice the bag it came in. And I think this is becoming more common with these pro level lights. The bags don't cost them a whole lot to make, and it is a nice way to be able to carry around the product and make sure it doesn't get damaged. Now, once you open the bag, that's where things really get interesting. And the first thing you're gonna notice is this light has an entire aluminum exoskeleton. So the whole back of the unit is an aluminum or aluminium channel, and that just makes it unlike a lot of the other tube lights, particularly the more budget-friendly tube lights, where it's sort of plastic front and back, and sort of you can actually hear it creak, and when you sort of push on it or twist it, it feels like it's gonna break. This thing is just so solid and rigid, and the only parts there's really any plastic on it are sort of the ends where you've got the little plastic caps, and then you have a plastic diffuser on the front. Now in the kit, you're gonna get a couple of items that you don't see with a lot of the other suppliers, and the first thing is you're going to get an all metal handle, and that handle includes a 1/4-inch thread so you can actually mount the handle on a tripod. So it gives you the ability to take the handle and either use it as a handle on its own or mount it on a tripod. Now, I often mount it on this sort of little, little desktop tripod. This isn't included. This is just a small rig tripod. I will put a link to the tripod, the light, and everything I've talked about in this video in the description down below. It just allows me to hook this light up to this tiny little tripod, and then I can sort of set it just anywhere I want to splash a little bit of light here or there. It also allows me to I just actually store it in my office like this. I use it a lot for product photography, and I can take it off, then I can use it. And what I actually do with my product photography is sometimes you want to get this light in just the perfect location, and I look through the camera and then I just move the light to where I need it. But I can also put it on the tripod itself. I can adjust it, and I can sort of have the light, put it like that, have the light just, pointing over or splashing some light down in whatever sort of direction I want. So those are the couple of ways that I use it for my product photography, and just putting on the little small rig tripod, I just find it a very convenient thing. The other thing you're gonna find in this kit is something that is often extra with other suppliers, and that is a grid. And that just allows you to control your light spill and just allows you to direct the light in the direction you want it and keep it away from areas you don't want it. So you can light your sort of products or scene or video in whatever sort of specific way you want. And as you can see there, now I just have a very directional light. A cool way I can use this in a product photography or product video is that scene where you have sort of a product in sort of an overhead shot or a flat lay shot, and you can just bring this over the top and it sort of illuminates the product and then passes by and then it goes dark again. So an overhead shot where you've sort of got a dark product, it's dark, the light comes in, lights up the product and moves on, and it returns to darkness. It's just nice that it's in there. I think with the other suppliers, often the candle and the grid together can be an extra 50 bucks or something like that. So just including it in the kit just gives you a bit more value. Now, another thing that is very surprising about this light, and I don't have a spectrometer so that I can test this, but this light is advertised to have a CRI of 98, which is just insane, and I don't think I know of any tube light that has a CRI of 98. And if you're unfamiliar with what a CRI is, basically, they've determined that sunlight, if you're trying to simulate sunlight, it's 5600 Kelvin on a light, and this light has a 5600 Kelvin setting. And your CRI value is how accurate the light is in your light compared to the light it's trying to simulate. So the CRI of the sun, when it is sunlight, is 100%. That is a perfect light, and that's what light looks like. This LED tube impersonating the sun has a CRI of 98. 98. That means it is 98% accurate to the color that the sun or the color of the light coming from the sun is. This is by far the highest and most accurate, at least advertised rate I have seen in a CRI for a tube light, and I think it is now the most accurate light that I own. Now, this is somewhat of an unusual size. It's actually a 45 centimeter area of light, the light tube itself, and in total it is 53 centimeters long. But it is a 20-watt light. Now, if you look at some of the other options out there, the most common tube you're going to find is a 60 centimeter tube that is an 18-watt light. So what you're getting is a slightly smaller tube, a slightly smaller, more compact light with a higher wattage and a sort of higher light output. That means that you've got something that is more portable but brighter, and this thing at full brightness is kind of crazy bright. So that is a that is 100% brightness, and I can light up this whole room just with this tiny little tube light. Now, another feature I noticed about this light is with a lot of the tube lights out there, you can actually see the individual LEDs in the tube. So when it's lit up, you can see the pinpoint LEDs. Interestingly, with this one, and I don't know if it's the quality of the diffusion or the fact that it is a 20-watt light sort of in a 45 centimeter space, but it just looks like one constant light. You're not getting any sort of division between the LEDs that you can see to the naked eye. And it just gives a really nice, flat, soft, flattering light coming out of the light. Now, there's really 3 ways that you can control this interface. Now, if you are using in a pro scene where they're using DMX, this has 2 DMX ports on the top of it, which is pretty incredible for a light of this size and price point. And if you don't know what DMX is, not something you really need to worry about, but what you need to know is in sort of professional theaters and studio sets, the lights are often controlled by DMX, which is a cable that goes into every single light, and then you have a board that sort of controls the whole thing. So what you do need to know is if you do purchase this light, you are making an investment, and if you do upgrade to DMX or at some point you're involved in a project where they're using DMX, this will come right along. It'll be right at home. You just plug the DMX in and you're able to control the light from the DMX board. Now, if you're like me, you're probably going to control the light in one of 2 ways most of the time. You're either going to use the app, and the app is incredibly intuitive and has some really, really cool features. It has a full color board where you can just swipe your finger around and just pick whatever color you want. But it also has this really, really neat feature where you can say you see a color of a car, a color of a shirt, or a color of something, you're like, that's really, really cool. I would love to just have that color in the scene of the video that I'm creating. Or somebody has got an outfit on that has a certain color and you want to sort of splash that same color in the background to get this sort of really cool effect. You can take the YC Onion app, bring that up, and it will allow you to select with a little eyedropper any color, and the light will then project that color. I just thought that was a super, super cool little option to have, and I just really like it. I think it's sort of a neat little feature. Now, in addition to controlling this light via the app, it's actually got an interface on the back, which is super intuitive and really, really easy to use. So your range of different controls, you got your HSI mode, which is your different color modes, you have the special effects mode, and then you have your CCT mode, which is for your sort of your normal daylight white color temperatures. So it's easy to flip through those. It's really big, it's easy to read, and I find it extremely intuitive. And generally, if I'm just using it around the office, I will just use it by control of the sort of the back, the interface on the back. Where I find some of the other lights out there, they're small, hard to read, tiny little buttons, and it's just not quite as intuitive as I'm finding this light to be. Now, the advertised battery light at full brightness on this light is 90 minutes, but I actually tested it. I did full brightness at 5600 Kelvin, which is the same color as daylight. I set it in my room and I sat there and sort of watched some videos and read a book. And the light lasted for 2 full hours. So I'm not sure in what way they have stated their 90 minutes, or they're just sort of trying to sort of under-promise, so they don't want you to be disappointed. But they have quoted 90 minutes, and I have done a real-world test, and I have gotten 2 hours out of it. Now, they do say that if you use some of the lower brightness settings, you can get up to 12 hours battery life. Now, this is a YC Onion product, and if you've never heard of YC Onion before, it is a young progressive company. They are based in China. They have a really, really cool culture within their company. And the YC Onion name is based on the owner or founder whose nickname was Onion. So the company became called YC Onion. Now, I'm not sure what the YC stands for, but I know a lot of people ask, what is YC Onion? The other thing that's interesting about YC Onion is a lot of their other products are called the hot dog slider and the bun motor and all these different things based on food. And it was just something they decided to follow on with this sort of YC Onion and come up with sort of names of products in general that related to food and just to maybe be a bit more catchy and a bit more memorable. Now, how would you use a tube light like this? Well, there's a couple different ways that I have been using it in my videos. Now, the first way is because it is reasonably light, you can mount it overhead as a hair light or kicker light. So you just see how I'm kind of blending into the background right now. If I put this behind me, just out of shot, I can get that, and that is now creating a sort of nice little outline, a bit of highlight on my hair, and it is just allowing me to pop off the background a bit better. Now, the other thing I can do is I can light up that background. I'll just throw that at 100%, and I'll just set it down there. And now I've just illuminated the background. Once again, just helping separate me from the background a little bit. The other place that you can use it, and the place that it was kind of doing duty as when it was just sitting here, is as a fill light. Now that is bright, such a bright light. Is as a fill light, and I've got my softbox just sort of here, but if I feel like the shadows on this side of my face are just a little bit harsh, and I just want to take those shadows out, I just put it here, and then I can just sort of tune it into any brightness I want. Maybe that's a bit brighter than I want. Kick it down to 10%, probably could go a little bit higher than that. And there you go. So that's just taking the shadows off this side of my face. And as a fill light, I can just decide how dark I want these shadows or how dramatic I want that to look. And so obviously the higher I take up the brightness of this tube, sort of the more flattering it tends to be on my face, and sort of the more or the less dramatic it would be. Now, obviously I would have this out of shot, which is no problem. It's plenty bright. So you just put it out of shot and then adjust your brightness to the way you want. How I often use this is for product photography and product video. And I just take it off. Now I've just got the handle. And often when you're doing product photography or product video, you want light in a very specific place or in a very specific way. And often you are trying to avoid getting reflections from the products coming back into the camera. So you really need to get sort of a specific angle of the light. And what I'll do is, even when I'm shooting handheld, in one hand I'll hold the camera, and the other I will just move this around to get the light exactly where I want it. And the other place you'll often see this used is in a lot of YouTube videos. They like to set it to sort of like an RGB mode, and then they'll put it up on their shelves and just sort of light up, do sort of backlighting for their products or what have you, or you'll just have it in the background as a light back here, or I've got my monitor here, I can sort of sneak that under there, and now I've got sort of a light coming from there. So you can create a lot of different sort of cinematic and dramatic looks, particularly with the different colors. Just spray them around the room. A lot of people like to have sort of color in their background. So now we've got a totally different look to this video with this really crazy, vibrant color in the background. Oh, and another thing I forgot to mention is the magnets. So this thing has magnets on the back of it. And they're pretty strong magnets because although I wouldn't say this light is heavy, it feels like a very high quality light. And I'll just show you my desk here is a little bit magnetic on the bottom, and there you go. It just sticks right on there, and it sort of doesn't come off. And even though this thing is quite heavy, if you have a look, I mean, it really sticks on there. So you're not gonna have any problem for it coming off, and you can even stick it onto light stands. I've got a sort of light stand here. It'll stick on the light stand. I mean, these are really, really strong magnets. In fact, I'm gonna pull the light stand over with it. Really, really strong magnet, so you are not gonna have any problems with it falling off, and it just gives you another mounting option. So as a budget-friendly, professional level tube light, I can highly recommend this product. If you've got any questions, don't hesitate to leave them in the comments down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.